If you're studying for the INBDE, I highly recommend INBDE Bootcamp, an all-in-one study resource that will help you pass your exam. Use coupon code MENTALDENTAL for 10% off. Hey everyone, Dr. Ryan here, and welcome back to Mental Dental. Today's video is all about how to read and dissect dental board questions like a pro. And whether you're studying for the INBDE, the ADAT, or another exam, this skill is absolutely crucial to your success. So let's dive in. The first thing I want to talk about is the anatomy of a question, because every board style question follows a pattern. You'll see 2 or sometimes 3 parts to it. Number 1, the question prompt or the stem, and this is what they're actually asking you. Number 2 is the answer choices or response options, and you'll usually have 4 from A through D, but sometimes you can have 5, A through E. And then number 3, which is optional, sometimes you'll get a set of stimuli or case materials, which could include radiographic images, clinical images, and or a patient box. Usually it's some clinical scenario. And here's a big tip that you might want to try the next time you do some practice questions. Start by reading the last sentence of the stem first, and that's the actual question they're asking you. So why would you do that? Well, because it tells you exactly what to look for in the rest of the stem and the case materials. And then you can go back and read the full stem and review the full case materials with some context, with some purpose, because now you're hunting for these clinical clues based on the question that you read. The patient's age, the symptoms, maybe some test results or certain imaging or chief complaint. You know what to look for once you read that stem. You're not wasting time on irrelevant information. Especially if you're short on time or you're overwhelmed, I definitely recommend this read backwards strategy. Stem first, then the case materials, and then the answer choices. This helps you stay focused and avoid getting lost in those unnecessary details. Next, let's talk about these distractors. So one of the response options will be the key, which is the correct or best response to the stem, and the incorrect or inferior responses are known as distractors, those tricky wrong answers that can look right at first glance. In many cases, common misconceptions and observed mistakes make excellent distractors. So here are some common types that you might see. Choices that are too broad or too vague, outdated terminology that you might remember from some old notes but aren't relevant today, overly specific answers that don't match the general tone of the question, or answers that are technically true but don't actually answer the question that's being asked. So how do you spot these distractors? Well, go through a quick checklist with yourself. Ask yourself, does this choice directly address the clinical problem? Is it supported by what's in the question? Or is it just filler that sounds good but isn't answering the question directly? If an answer doesn't tie back directly to that stem, you can safely eliminate it. So with that, let's go through a real example together. A 47-year-old patient presents with spontaneous pain in the lower right first molar. Clinical testing reveals lingering pain to cold and pain on percussion. The radiograph shows a widened periodontal ligament, but no periapical radiolucency. What is the most likely pulpal diagnosis? And our options are A, normal pulp, B, reversible pulpitis, C, symptomatic irreversible pulpitis, D, symptomatic apical periodontitis, and E, asymptomatic irreversible pulpitis. So let's break this down and start with the final sentence of the stem. What is the most likely pulpal diagnosis? So we're looking for clues regarding pulpal diagnosis. And our first clue is this lingering pain to cold, which strongly suggests symptomatic irreversible pulpitis. Pain on percussion means the inflammation has extended into the periapical tissues, which is still consistent with symptomatic irreversible pulpitis. And the radiograph shows no periapical radiolucency, but that's okay. This condition often presents before a radiographic change is visible. And keep in mind, we don't care about the periapical diagnosis. We need the pulpal diagnosis. So what's the best answer for this one? It's C, symptomatic irreversible pulpitis. The other answers either don't match the symptoms correctly, ignore key findings, or answer the wrong question, like answer choice D, which is technically not incorrect. This is correct information. The tooth does in fact have symptomatic apical periodontitis, but again, that's not what the question is asking us to tell them. We're looking for the pulpal diagnosis, not the periapical diagnosis. And before we wrap up this video, guys, I want to give you some rapid fire strategies to help you win this game, because that's what it really is. These tests are a game that you have to play, and I don't want you to miss out on any of these tips. First, be really careful when reading the stem that you're not missing one of those keywords like accept. I can't tell you how many times that 6-letter word EXCEPT messes people up. So look out for that word, don't miss it, and when you're going through the answer options, cross those answer choices out that are true in that case, because you're looking for all of the following except one, which is not fulfilling the question stem. Don't overthink. This happens so often. If you're stuck between two answers, go with your initial gut, and you can mark it and go back to it later, but stick with your gut. That is the best thing that you can do when you're weighing between two options. For a question that you're really not sure on, and if there are two options that are very similar, they're probably both wrong, and then you can eliminate them. Of course, I would only do this strategy if you're truly guessing. Trust what the question gives you. Don't add assumptions. Use only the facts on your screen. So if they don't tell you something, don't assume that that thing is true. And finally, always eliminate the obviously wrong answers first. It helps so much to do this process of elimination, because that boosts your odds even when you have to guess if you can eliminate at least one or two choices. So definitely do that and take the time to rule out anything that you can confidently rule out as a possibility. If this breakdown helped you, please give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. For more high-yield content, question breakdowns, and live case workshops, check out the Mental Dental Academy on my website exclusively at mentaldental.com/academy. Thanks again for watching this video, guys. I hope you're having a great day. God bless you all. I'll see you all in the next video.